I've come to realize something fascinating over the years. Loneliness and being alone are not the same thing. You can be in a room full of people, chatting, smiling, even in a relationship, and still feel that deep, empty ache of loneliness. And yet, you can live alone, do your own thing, spend hours in silence, and feel completely at peace. Have you ever felt that contrast? That strange sense that being with people doesn't always mean being connected? I'm sharing this because recently I came across a powerful research project from the University of Victoria, done in collaboration with a group of students who went through a 12-week nervous system regulation program. The findings were eye-opening, not just for scientists, but for anyone who's ever struggled with feeling disconnected, anxious, or isolated inside themselves. And I want to walk you through what this research revealed and how it connects to something we rarely talk about deeply enough: loneliness as a state of the nervous system. So let's unpack this step by step. We live in the most connected era in human history. Likes, comments, DMs, video calls, and yet loneliness has become an epidemic. Studies from the CDC and WHO have found that loneliness can be as dangerous to health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Isn't that shocking? We've never been more digitally connected, yet physically and emotionally more disconnected. And here's the tricky part. Loneliness isn't about being physically alone. It's about a disconnection between your body, your mind, and your environment. You can have thousands of followers, hundreds of contacts, but if your nervous system is dysregulated, if it's stuck in fight, flight, or freeze, true connection becomes almost impossible. That's the paradox, and it's what this research helps us understand. Back in 2021, a group of researchers at the University of Victoria's Smart Lab partnered with a wellness educator who teaches nervous system regulation through a course called Smart Body, Smart Mind. The project involved 87 participants aged between 23 and 73, with an average age of 45. All of them experienced some form of anxiety, depression, or chronic stress before starting the 12-week program. Now, what made this study unique was that it looked at measurable changes, not just in emotion, but in body awareness, resilience, and executive function before and after the program. The participants filled out questionnaires at the beginning, during, and after the 12 weeks. These self-report tools allowed researchers to track progress over time. And here's what they discovered. After 12 weeks, there were statistically significant improvements in several key areas. Resilience, their ability to handle stress, recover, and adapt, improved noticeably. Executive functioning, meaning focus, decision-making, and organization, got sharper. Complex PTSD symptoms decreased. Somatic mindfulness, awareness of the body, increased. Self-compassion improved. And something called interoception, the ability to sense what's happening inside your body, grew stronger. Now, interoception is a fascinating term. It's our inner perception, the body's ability to feel what's going on beneath the surface. Your heartbeat, your breathing, hunger, gut tension, even subtle emotions. When interoception is weak, we can't tell what we're feeling. Our brain gets scrambled signals. Am I anxious? Am I hungry? Am I unsafe? This confusion fuels anxiety, burnout, even loneliness. But when interoception becomes accurate, something profound happens. We begin to trust our body again. And that's exactly what the researchers found. Participants reported greater trust and safety in their bodies and less worry about bodily sensations. Think about that for a second. How often do we feel something, a flutter in the chest, tightness in the gut, and immediately spiral? Oh no, what's wrong with me? That's the body's natural survival alarm being misread by a dysregulated nervous system. But as participants learn to regulate, to feel, notice, and stay present, those alarms stopped triggering constant panic. They became signals, not threats. Now, let's connect this to loneliness. Why would a course about body regulation reduce loneliness? Because loneliness isn't just emotional, it's physiological. When the nervous system is in survival mode, fight, flight, or freeze, it prioritizes safety over connection. It shuts down curiosity. It dampens empathy. It blocks our ability to feel closeness. You could be sitting next to your partner or talking with friends, but if your body doesn't feel safe, your brain won't register connection. This is why you can be with people and still feel alone. And conversely, once your system calms, once it feels regulated, you can spend time alone and feel deeply connected to life itself. So the solution isn't simply find more friends or get out more. It's to rebuild safety and connection within your own nervous system first. Let's explore what actually changes when your nervous system starts to regulate and your interoception improves. You begin to sense your emotions more accurately. Instead of saying, "I feel weird," you might realize, "I feel anxious because I skipped breakfast," or "I'm sad because I need rest." You stop overreacting or shutting down. You can read your internal state and the room more clearly. You start to make better decisions because your executive brain, the prefrontal cortex, is no longer hijacked by survival stress. One of my mentors used to say, "The brain is an end organ. When the nervous system heals, the brain naturally gets smarter." That's what this study confirmed. Executive functioning improved simply because the body calmed down. Have you ever noticed how, when you're anxious, your mind gets foggy, but when you're calm, solutions just appear? That's not magic, that's neurobiology. And perhaps the most beautiful part, when people started feeling safe inside their own skin, their relationships changed. They became more open, less defensive, more authentic. The University of Victoria's press release summarized it perfectly. In participants reported greater trust and safety in their bodies, as well as a trend toward improved relational functioning. In other words, when we connect to ourselves, we connect better to others. I often remind my clients, you can't truly connect to others if you're disconnected from yourself. Think about it. When you're anxious or shut down, your awareness turns inward, not in a mindful way, but in a survival way. You're scanning for threats, not connection. So even if someone offers you love, support, or presence, your body might not feel it, not because you don't want to, but because your nervous system isn't ready to receive it. That's why healing loneliness isn't about external fixes, it's an inside job. It's about rebuilding interoceptive awareness, the ability to feel and trust your own body again. As that happens, something subtle shifts. You begin to notice the texture of life returning. Sunlight feels warmer. Conversations feel deeper. Solitude feels nourishing rather than empty. It's as if your inner radio finally tunes back to the frequency of connection. Over the years, I've seen this transformation countless times. Students who once felt chronically isolated start saying things like, "I'm not trying to feel spiritual anymore, I just feel alive." Or, "I used to force myself to meditate. Now my body just falls into calm naturally." That's regulation. That's interoception at work. It's the nervous system remembering safety. I've had people tell me they finally felt compassion, not as a mental exercise, but as a genuine warmth rising from within. Others said they started setting boundaries easily, saying no without guilt and yes without overthinking. These might sound like small shifts, but they change everything. Because when you stop fighting your own body, you stop feeling alone in it. Let's go a bit deeper into the biology. Our nervous system has two main branches. The sympathetic system, responsible for fight or flight. The parasympathetic system, for rest, digestion, and repair. When we're constantly under stress, emotional, physical, or social, the sympathetic system dominates. Our body prepares for danger. Digestion slows, breathing becomes shallow, and the part of our brain that handles empathy and social bonding, the ventral vagal complex, shuts down. That's the loneliness state. It's not just emotional, it's neurological. But when we restore balance through breath, grounding, body awareness, the parasympathetic system comes back online. Heart rate stabilizes, the vagus nerve activates, and suddenly we can feel connection again. This isn't psychology, it's physiology. And that's what makes it so powerful. Because when we work with the body, we're not forcing change, we're restoring what's natural. So, how do we begin? How do we move from loneliness to connection? It starts with tiny moments of awareness. Notice your breath. Feel your feet on the ground. Sense your heartbeat. Ask yourself, what is my body telling me right now? It might say, I'm tired, or I'm anxious, or even, I'm okay. Whatever it says, listen, without judgment. That's interoception in action. And here's the magic. As you listen, the body begins to trust you again. And as it trusts you, the nervous system settles. And as it settles, loneliness fades. You don't have to force connection. You become connection. One of the most profound things this research revealed was that people didn't just feel better, they started enjoying solitude. They reported being alone, but not lonely. There's a peace that comes from being with yourself fully. It's quiet, but alive. It's the feeling of your body saying, I'm safe now. And once that safety is restored, you naturally connect to people, nature, even silence, without needing constant stimulation. So next time you feel lonely, ask yourself, is this loneliness or disconnection from myself? Because when you reconnect internally, even an empty room can feel full. Before we wrap up, I want to ask you something. Have you ever noticed that the moments you feel most connected aren't always when you're with others, but when you're truly present? When you're watching the sunset, walking quietly, or simply breathing deeply, that's your nervous system whispering, you're home. And once you start listening to that whisper, you'll realize loneliness was never your enemy. It was your body's way of asking for reconnection. So here's my gentle reminder for today. Connection isn't out there. It's in here, in the way you breathe, move, and feel. When you learn to regulate your nervous system, you don't just reduce stress, you open the door to life itself. If you want to learn more about how to calm your body, strengthen your resilience, and feel more grounded in yourself, subscribe to this channel for more science-based lessons on natural healing and nervous system regulation. Together, we'll explore how to rebuild that inner connection so that whether you're surrounded by people or sitting quietly alone, you'll always feel at home in your own body. Thanks for watching, and remember, being alone doesn't have to mean being lonely. Sometimes it's the first step to truly feeling connected again.